Okay, so I'm back here. So I took a nice break, got some sunlight, realized that due to my inactivity of going outside, I'm basically paler than my buddy Eric, and that guy glows in the dark, which is saying quite a lot. So anyways, we're back. Last video we worked on a lot of GUI stuff. We got all the tabs implemented, we got the on and off toggle buttons implemented, and we got some save icons and stuff. So with this video, we kind of need to start implementing a few different things. So what we're going to do really quickly before we hit the GUI exactly is I need to go and implement the battery slots properly now. And I need to remove the battery slots if there's no energy. So this is actually not going to be too difficult to do. So one, we want to close up the core here, go to the armory, go down here. I'm still waiting for my glasses to transition from being outside to inside too. Everything looks really dark to me. Transition glasses. Cheap is bitter though. Don't work very well. So we want the armory mod, and we have prefabs. Oh yeah, that's right, we have armor. We'll get the armor here one of these days. We'll start implementing it. I want to do a full power armor set, but that'll come down the road. Okay, GUI sentry. Oh, we already here. Container sentry. Okay, so we have battery slots. What we want to do is go, okay, if sentry, the get energy buffer size is greater than 0, then we implement the battery slots. If not, we don't have battery slots. So we're going to do that. And we need to actually get the slots from the sentry. I doubt we'll have multiple battery slots on any sentry, but the sentry data is designed for that concept in mind. So we need to find the sentry data real quick. Man, I got bitten by quite a few bugs while I was outside too. So the thing is, I used to be a Boy Scout, and I used to actually go out camping and everything else. And I don't know what happened. There's some kind of transition apparently some point in my life where I'm no longer outside friendly, and somehow developed several allergies to the outside. There's got to be some study of where somebody's actually went and looked at that and tried to figure out why in the world do we actually have that problem. Anyway, so we got battery in slots and we got battery out slots. So we do know that those are data variables. So we do want to just make a for loop real quick. This will be int I, so we're just going to loop through indexes. And we're going to go how are we going to handle this? I mean, we're going to have to do what we're doing up here, see, with this row column system. So we're going to need to know how many slots we need. And we're going to need to predict a few things. Really quickly, I'm going to go grab my screenshot folder and grab the screenshot of the GUIs we just made. Okay, so this is what we got right now. Here's our battery slots. Here's our ammo slots. We don't have a lot of space. I want to leave this where it's at. Kind of want to add another row here. What is our max row? We don't have a max row, so we can get quite a few rows here. We probably could do. Actually, we can really quickly just gauge this by doing something like this. Yeah, we could do 2 more rows. So I'm saying we might want to put these next to each other and then do like a downward row thing. That might be how we handle it. So we'll have, yeah, we'll do rows. And we'll need to do inputs and output rows. So we'll have inputs on the left, outputs on the right. So we'll be looping this twice. But how we're going to control our Y position, which is this right here, we're going to change this to some kind of variable we're going to track. So we're going to have it up here. We're going to have like an int y equals 0. And the reason we're doing this is if we detect a duplicate slot between these two sets here. That's the reason why I want to do that. This is going to be sentry dot get sentry dot get data get energy. Not get energy cost. I want to get battery slot. Oh yeah, get battery inputs. Probably going to want to rename that, and this will be dot length. And what we'll also do is we'll make sure this isn't null real quick. So we'll go if doesn't equal null, and we'll do the same thing down here. Okay, do that real quick, and this will be out. Okay. So our slot ID is going to be this right here. So I'm not going to do slot ID plus plus. It's literally going to be get I, and it's going to be the same way down here, except instead of it being in, it'll be out. And I need to come up with some duplication check. Or do I want to do a duplication check, or I have an idea. It's a glorious idea. Not really a glorious idea. I'm kind of being sarcastic with that whole thing. Public void validate. And what we'll do is this will be in here. We'll make a default. This will be default void validate, and this will be called after a gen object is created to ensure values read in are good. It should only be used to ensure combination of values are usable as individual butchered that spelling on that. Okay. We'll put a space between there, and we'll do that. And we just got to call that from somewhere. We don't need it here. What we're going to do is, in the sentry data, we're going to run a validation method somewhere, probably right here. This will be a good spot. And we'll make sure we do the super call. So we'll do super.validate. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop through our values here. So we're going to actually go copy. It's not here. We're in the container. Okay. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to copy the whole thing. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have slots. So this will be get battery in doesn't equal null, and then we want to go loop through get battery in. And we want to ensure that each of the values in our battery out don't equal. So actually we need to also do is get battery out doesn't equal null. So this will be, we'll just call this value z, and get battery out dot length. If get battery in dot I equals get battery out dot z, then throw new illegal argument exception. Okay, slot IDs cannot be there we go. So that'll basically crash the game, and we just need to make sure validate is called. So validate would be called somewhere after registration is called, and registration is called somewhere in here. Actually, I think register is called in the super. Glorious prefabs. Okay, yeah. So we want to get where this is called. And it's called right here. And we're going to go data.validate and then data.register. Okay. Cool. That should validate everything, so we should ensure that stuff is there. And what we're also going to do is we're going to validate our default values here. So we want to do basically the same thing we're doing here. So we're just going to copy this, and we just want to go get default types doesn't equal null, and get allowed types doesn't equal null. Okay, so how this works is we got get default types and we get allowed types. We want to make sure that it's contained. So we want to go boolean contained equals false. And then we want to go if contained, that's when we're going to throw our exception. So, and then this will be a different exception. So we need to go types does not contain get default types.I. Okay, then we want to go get default types dot equals get allowed types dot z. And then we go contained equals true. And it doesn't matter, by the way, which order we do these loops here. We're just checking to make sure things don't. So here we're checking to make sure stuff doesn't match, so we'll do that. Ensure battery arrays do not share values. Ensure that allowed group contains everything in default types. And then what we're also going to do is go, okay, is else if get default types doesn't equal null. Actually, when we go else is, we're just going to throw an exception. Allowed type, or allowed or default types cannot be null. There's no way these should be null. The only time they'll ever be null is if after this finished loading, somebody edited the data via ASM, reflection, whatever, and broke it into everything. And when it comes to the get battery in array, I don't care. These can be null. These are only ever used if you have energy anyways. And then back to our container. So yeah, we ensure that neither of them share value, so we don't have to do anything. This will run. We'll get our IDs, and this will display them, and we'll get a nice row out of this. We do know we have a max row limit now. So this will be rows. And we'll add a scroll bar later. We'll just assume people are smart enough to realize that if it overflows, it overflows. So you can't just make these huge arrays. We'll add a scroll bar later here. So go to do add scroll bar, and we'll do the same thing here. To do add. So we'll come back to that. We do need to do y++. So, And we need to make sure that's actually set up properly. And then Y needs to reset between intervals. Actually, if we just put it down here, and then put this down here, and then we add this to here, that should work. That's our X, that's our Y. This needs to be the same. We then need to shift this over, I think 18, I think is how wide these slots are. And then we need to color these slots too, so we'll get to that here in a bit. First, we're just going to open this up and we're going to make sure these are functional. That tea is still not cooled down. Interesting thing about heat while I was out there tanning in the sun a little bit. I noticed Ohio is about the only place I know of that you can be cold and warm at the same time. So the sun was warming me up, yet I was still cold because the temperature outside is not exactly warm. Yeah. Ohio weather for you. Actually, that's probably pretty much weather anywhere, but Ohio is more notorious for that, of where it's got an imbalance in temperatures. Especially considering it got down to like 50-something degrees last night, and then we're now back up to 70, 20-degree shift. People who are like climate change is not a thing, I go point at the fact that there's such huge gulfs in the weather of where temperatures are up and down. Usually it's only slight. Usually you only have like a 10-degree shift or swing. Unless you're in the desert, which can get much, much larger. But these days, the temperature swings have been getting really large. Like we had a day here last month where it was 90 degrees, and then the next day it was 30. That's a 60-degree swing in temperature. That is just absolutely devastating when you think about it. Especially when you consider, think about it, it was only the beginning of spring and it hit 90 degrees. Damn. That was a hot day. It was 90 degrees like somewhere in the middle of the day. It's pretty much local too. It wasn't, because if you open up the weather map, it didn't report 90 degrees. So if you actually went up that, but if you pulled out a couple thermometers or you went with a GPS best thermometer system, it's like, hey, your local area is somewhere between 87 and 90 degrees. And it's like, wow, that's a lot. That's a big temperature issue there. I'm starting to think I might need to get a better thermometer though. Am I still on speakers? Yep. The reason I can tell is I can hear the click from the speaker from here. It's probably causing some weird interference too. Okay, when we opened it up, we still got our I/O buttons. We don't got the power slots though, which is unfortunate because I need to make sure that this is there. Actually, we should have had those there because they're defaulted. Oh wait, we don't have a power buffer. Okay, there we go. There's our slots. So we need to move them both over by 18, pretty much. Get them much. Actually, we just pop the 10 off. It'll be good enough. No, that's our Y value. Derp derp. So this needs to be 02, and this needs to be 20, I guess. That should work. I guess we gotta reopen the container. That might work. Let's make this a 10. This would be, what, 28? Yeah, that'll work better. So you get your battery slots here. This will be your battery in. This will be your battery out. And this is your ammo bay, pretty much. And when the JSON system rolls around, this will become obsolete because you lose your JSON system to define what your stuff's going to look like. Anyways, we don't got anything else for the rest of these GUIs, and that's what we're going to probably work on next. But we do have an ammo bay. Works pretty nice. Although, I do like to point out most sentry guns are going to end up with an ammo bay of only 1. So you're going to have cartridges that are going to pop on the ground. Or you'll have an ammo bay of 2. I'll figure that out later. May end up having an ammo bay of 0 actually, because in these we're gonna pull from a tile base. This thing's still trying to aim. There we go. At least he won't be aiming in the air anymore. Oh, he killed that missile. That's pretty good. At least it works. So anyways, I'm gonna remove this part so that way the slots de-render again. What I might end up actually doing is putting fake slots there, so I might actually do that here later, is code up a fake slot. And I need to code up a battery slot is what actually also needs to be coded up. So that way you can only stick battery items in here, and then I need to code up an ammo slot so you can only stick ammo items in here. Yeah, well actually, yeah, might as well. We'll go do that real quick. Those are going to be thrown into Volts Engine because it's recyclable prefab code, and plus the JSON system will need it later. Although we'll build up a huge converter system to add parts to the JSON GUI system. So you can have parts added by specific mods, GUI components added by specific mods, textures added by specific mods. So prefab, GUI, slots. Okay, so there's a slot for an energy item. Okay, so we will have a slot energy item. This actually needs to be a slot that you can't remove, you can't stick anything in. So we may have to do a specific thing for this. Do I have a slot for an output? There's a slot watch which is used for crafting. Slot specific, which is a really crappy, I'm going to cast check thing that isn't used anymore. Craft resolve, which is basically slot watched. So we're going to need slot output, extend slot, create constructor. This is to be ID, and then this is X and Y. And there's a method on here, so is item valid, and we'll just return false. But the thing is, you don't want to be sticking items in your output slots. They're just there to suck items out of your machine. So batteries will pop to that slot, and you'll be able to do things. The thing is, not all sentries are going to end up having output slots, by the way. So you may just have 2 battery slots you can stick batteries in, and then once they're empty, they're just put right back into the battery slots. So the battery slots do act as output slots as well, in case there is no output slot for batteries. So Sentry Gun can just define 2 battery slots. And we'll add special, actually no, we'll just wait for the JSON system and for the GUIs. I won't do a whole bunch of weird things with this to make it dynamic and flexible. Yeah, we don't actually need to store the ID. Actually, we'll continue to store the ID because I have a feeling I'll use it later, but I'm just looking at this like, oh, I don't actually need to store that. We are not actually messing with things. So we got those. I actually need to start defining upgrade slots too. So what is that? Oh yeah, ammo slot. So slot ammo extends slot. Yeah, we'll just make a slot for this. I was thinking I could do a. There's something I actually can do to make this work much nicer. Let me actually go to slot energy. Yeah. T construct has its own ammo thing. I item ammo, I guess. What we need to do is there's a few checks I need to implement here. We'll just do it this way. IAMMO type private final IAMMO type, and then we'll go ammo, and we'll just go this.ammo type equals type. This will be the easiest way to filter it, and then we'll go and ammo type equals null, or ammo type equals stack.get item.get ammo data dot get ammo type. That should work. So to ensure we can only stick ammo in those slots, and then this will be sentry dot get sentry dot get data dot get gun. Look at that huge method called chain. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Although I think if GUI is open and you're in the construction of the GUI and it crashes, it actually doesn't crash the game. You just may get disconnected from a server or something. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, that all looks nice. So that'll get us filtering, so we can't stick anything into the slot, so it'll restrict our slot inputs. This will help people understand that the ammo they're trying to stick in the gun doesn't fit, so there's no confusion there. We do need to add an ammo display to here, so we need to actually track how much ammo we have left. Right now you're seeing that graphically, that's actually debug. So there's debug that actually does all that, and that's not in the final version. Okay, that would be handled by super.draw foreground. We need to add tooltips to this, by the way, as well. Actually, I need to add tooltips to quite a few things. Quite a lot of things have to be did into this. There's a lot of GUI work, and there's a lot of stuff when I do the JSON system, I'm not sure who's going to convert properly. So we may end up having to implement a listener system just for our GUIs. Shouldn't be horrible. That would make our GUIs really flexible. But let's see. I want to render text. I don't want to draw a tooltip, although that actually has some potential with it. I just want to draw a string. So draw, not a centered string, just draw a string. I don't know if we have to offset our string draws. This would be ammo. This would be be tile dot get sentry dot get. I think it's gun instance dot ammo. How are we doing this with the debug code? Okay, debug code's probably not in here. And what was that message I just got? What is he sending to me? Acquired after, and then after. Something dependency checks. Actually, those are finished uploading. Good. Blarg. I need to find the render code. Render. Oh, here we go. This renders floating text. Okay, so this is the string we want. And we'll have to just put tile in front of these real quick. Too much stuff on my desk. I'm dragging my mouse around, the cord keeps hitting things. This will be clip. And then we're under at 0, right now. And then let me hit Control B real quick. I want to see what calls this. Okay, so silo does it. Okay, so we don't need to offset our position. String renders must already be offset, and it probably is handled in one of the super method calls so that it offsets automatically. Which begs the question of why the buttons don't offset, but poor programming, I guess. I know the GUIs I made for my game, they all offset on their own. Which, by the way, I haven't showed that in a while. Open recent. I want to just show it off real quick to make sure it still runs even. I haven't touched this in a month. Yeah, still was working on the gun renders. But see how my GUIs, they move automatically and everything. They handle. Select somebody, you can see what guns they have and everything. Go ahead and close that, because that's not what we're going to work on today. I need to get back into that. As soon as I'm done with the 1.8 update, there's a high likelihood I'm going to go take a hiatus and just work on that. Because I like modding, I really do, but I got to make stuff that makes money eventually, because eventually I'm going to get kicked out of the place where I live if I don't start making money. Yeah. We'll hit that road eventually. So we're going to render the ammo count, and we're going to do this if our ID equals 0. And we're going to have a different set of renders per GUI. And we're going to update these when we get in game here. And it says we have an error, but we don't. Just the compiler taking its sweet ass time catching up. While that's loading up, I'm going to open up my window over here and check a couple things real quick. Okay. Okay, some just retweets. The sad thing is, like, when you get retweets and stuff, they're not on the things you do. So, like, I did a whole bunch of tweets about ICBM and stuff. Some of the earlier ones got retweets. But the stuff that ends up getting retweets is stuff that's not even mine. It's things I've retweeted. I wonder if that's a good indication of my actual popularity when it comes to Twitter. And I want to say it is, because, I mean, I only do have a couple hundred followers. I know most of them are bots, actually. It's the sad part about them. I know almost about 25% of my followers are actually either bots or people that are just following me to retweet. Blarg, I'm not going to get into that whole thought process. So that's the kind of thought process, when you get down, it just starts to demotivate you. And you're like, but then we're doing it for the fame, and that's not what we're doing it for. Because I don't mod for the fame, I don't mod for the money, I don't mod for the downloads, although the downloads are pretty nice. They do generate a little bit of money. What else is there on the list? So there's fame, money, so I don't do it for the recognition, but the recognition kind of sounds like fame. I'm not really doing it for the experience, because I'm actually learned quite a bit from modding, and I'm not sure if I'm going to learn a huge amount more. It was actually, like, I went to go work on my own game. I've learned more from it in the short period I've been working on it than I have learned from modding in almost the last couple of years. Although, I gotta admit, modding is a really good test bed. If I want to do some experiments and with different concepts, the JSON system, for example, was an experiment I started with, and that turned it into a full system, and that's the system I'm going to use in almost everything I develop. Anytime I need to load data or load a lot of objects, JSON system is perfect for that. And I'll continue to hold on to that concept because it works. It's a really, really cool concept. And the sad thing is, I was against the idea of doing JSON when Minecraft was like, hey, we're going to force you to do all your renders in JSON. I was like, oh no, I got to rewrite all my code. Yeah. I got, unfortunately, tied into the whole anti-JSON system and didn't adopt it early. Should have just adopted. Okay, that needs to move, I'm going to say 100 and then 10 over. So 10 on the X. Let's actually say 140. No, 140 is a huge jump. I don't think text renders with the same coordinate plane as the everything else does. Okay, there we go. That's exactly what I wanted. So you can see how much ammo you have in there, and 10's a bit much. We're going to actually pull it back 8. And we'll go ahead and I'll make a translation key for this. So string translation equals language utility dot get local. So this will be sentry.gui.ammo. We'll go replace %1. And we're going to do that with, we'll actually do 2 translations. We'll do empty, so we'll do no ammo. So we want to go, okay, if our clip is null. So we're going to go, if our clip doesn't equal null, which would be our first translation. And then we would do the else statement. The else statement would be, our translation would be empty is what it'll be. Translation ampo.empty. There we go. And then we put the translation here, and there will be no replace keys for the translation, but there'll be a replace key for this. So a replace key is going to be, the first one's going to be the ammo amount, and the next one is going to be the ammo capacity. And what this will let people do is this will let people customize exactly what they're going to do with the translation stuff. And there's a better way I can do this. I could do a string formatter. Actually, I think I could do that. String.format. Yeah, that'll work. Because then I don't have to do the whole stupid replace key. It'll do it for me. So there's our format. And then there's our input data. Yeah, I need to get rid of this. And this will be a translation on both parts. Unfortunately, what is going to happen as soon as I reload this, you'll watch this turn into blarg. We'll have to go up into our languages, and we'll have to add a translation key for this. It'll be sentry.gui.ammo equals ammo, and then it'll be %i divided by %i. So %i is you're saying you want to put an integer there, and that's how it's going to do its thing. And then it'll be sentry.gui.ammo.empty equals no ammo. Okay, and there's a few other translation keys we're going to need, and I'm going to move these down below here, so that way they're underneath here. Sentry.gui.ammo.bay equals ammo bay. So it'll be tooltip.power Actually, we're going to do power.on. So we're going to do a little bit more creativity with our tooltips here to get a much, much better response. The more tooltips you have, the better handling you get. Because we want to have tooltips for each button. We want to have tooltips for what the bay is. We want to go, so when you hover over these, you want to have tooltips for what these are. I like how it actually has that really nice hover state. It looks so good. I want to get a lot more buttons that are that elegant. Then we want to inventory, so we want to do that as well. GUI.inventory equals inventory. So we're going to do our inventory label above here. We're going to move the sentry thing up. You know what? We're going to set a max size on the. Actually, we won't worry about the max size. We'll worry about that later. I'm trying to think. I want to put this somewhere. I really want to put it just maybe even up here, and we can just do a back render behind it. %bar, like an actual %render bar, would be so much better for ammo. And then you hover over it, and it gives you a tooltip. So we're going to hold on to the this string translation because we'll probably turn it into a tooltip. Then we need tooltips for each of these buttons. So we're going to GUI tooltip tab.main equals ammo bay, and then so we tab dot what targeting, and then permissions is the next tab, I believe. And then it's upgrades. And the last one is just settings. Okay, so I guess all our tooltips, we will have to make those tooltips though. Those aren't something that just magically will pop up as soon as we get everything in here. We're going to have to add tooltips for the save button, so there's going to have to be a save tooltip. Tip, save. And it's mainly all we need right now. God, I think my usability class has actually had an effect on me. It's actually, the class was human-computer interaction. It is entirely about users using things. It teaches you how to better design GUIs. It's how I got things like this ideal here, is you want to do really nice creative button combos with color coding. And you want to do things like this. You want to do these nice flat icons that aren't too complex to understand, that are related to the material, that are very, so you look at this, you know immediately that's ammo, you know that this has something to do with a zombie. It's not the most clearest thing, but if I put a target there, that would have been even less interesting. We ended up doing a player head for that, and then chip upgrade is usually something to chip. So people who are familiar with computer work would understand that this may be upgrades. And then a screwdriver is, or gear is used for settings. Putting a gear down here might be the better option. I might go hit that up later and change that out to a gear so it's very clear what that is. Okay, so what we want to do is implement these along with other things. Let's get the tool renders or the tip renders for other things. Y value. Let's put that underneath here. So I want to say 45. I'm definitely going to change that to a overlay render. Oh man, that is perfect. It just needs to come down like 1 pixel, so it's not right on the edge. There we go. So that'll show our ammo count there, and then we'll put right down there, which was 70, I believe. We'll do the inventory. So this will be translation, and we'll have to get our translation keys and stuff. Actually, we can just grab this translation as is. We don't need to do a variable storage for it, and to be honest, we don't need to do a variable storage up here for it. Only reason we're going to do a variable storage up here is because that line is actually pretty long, and we kind of want to make sure the stuff is readable. And our language files over here. Okay, so that'll be inventory render. Yeah, we need to adjust that. So that's 70. Okay, so that'll render inventory down there. We're gonna actually bring that down by a couple more pixels. Perfect. So that'll be our inventory. You know, we're gonna actually drag that over 1 pixel. So this will be a 7. There we go. I just noticed this inventory up here is not lined up with the one below it. So let's go ahead and fix that. That'll be in the container. So I believe this will be a 7. And we're gonna have to change the tab real quick. I need a measuring tool. Sticky notes will work. Okay, so that's not perfect. Sorry, I don't like the fact that the string renders are not perfect with everything else. So this needs to come back over, I think, 1 pixel. And then yeah, it's good enough. I know you guys can't see me measuring stuff on screen, but it looks good. And then that means we need to bring these strings over here over to that same value, or actually that's the wrong thing. Brain doesn't know how to put 2 to 2 together, that we're not even on the correct GUI. So these need to be set to 7. So there's definitely a pixel issue there, where these are not rendering perfectly the same spot. But that lines up a little better. Looks okay-ish. There seems to be like still a pretty slight pixel difference with it, but it's not enough that we need to go spend hours readjusting it. Okay, so we got our string formatting. We need a title up here, so we'll need to do that real quick. So this will need ammo bay is what we're going to call this, and we should already have that for there. And this will just be pretty much like a 7 or something. As a 2. We need to bring the whole thing down in order to render that single piece of string. Your GUIs always get messed up when you have to start implementing things like strings and stuff to inform where stuff's at. There we go. And then we need to bring down all of these slots. Probably need to bring these slots down too. We're going to make sure these are rendering while I'm editing, so that way I can see where they're at. So we need to bring all of these down by 5 or 6 pixels. So this will be 16, 16, yeah, 16. That looks okay, and then these need to come down by, I guess, 6 pixels. Wait, we moved everything by 6 pixels, so it makes sense. So our Y value, which we're using here, needs to become 52. Looks good. Everything looks pretty good. This means our ammo bay is pretty much stuck at 2 slots tall. So we'll have to put a scroll bar here, and we'll have to go, okay, there's a mandatory 2 slots rendered at a time. And we'll have to figure out how in the world we're going to render those slots. There is a set visibility thing, so we could probably do that. And we could probably do a few other things in order to make it work. What we'll probably actually do is you'll hit page up and page down, and it'll just recreate the whole GUI. So it'll remake the container. So it'll basically get a brand new container, and you'll have like something like an index value at the end of here, so you can scroll up and down. That way you can have much bigger ammo bays. Although, to be honest, the 10 ammo bay, I can't see you needing more than that much. Because you remember 64 clips per thing. Most ammo bays are probably just going to be 4x4s. But yeah, this looks good. And then we just need to transition this title to each of the things. So, back to our GUI. And then we go else if ID equals 1. So 1 is our targeting GUI. And we'll bring this down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to quickly just create our other 2, which is 2 and 3, I believe. I think we only have like 4 GUIs right now. Oh no, we have a case for 4. So we have 5 GUIs. Okay, so we just need to come through here and grab the name for each thing. Did we name the other tabs? We did not. We need to put a batteries bay here too. Apparently I want to put some text up here. I don't know if batteries will stick up there. We'll go ahead and implement it though. And then we'll decide later if we need to remove it. So this will need to be offset, and this will actually need to... We'll move this up here at the top, so we keep some kind of linear order where our stuff is being initialized. So this will be X, and this will probably be like 50. We're not going to be able to see crap. It's a bit much. That'll work, because then you'll have that distance, and I may just want to call this batteries. And what this will also be is we need to go tile.get sentry, get data, get, oh no, wait, we can just do it this way. Get energy buffer size is greater than 0. Boom, gone. And we'll go in the container real quick, and we're going to remove our little debug here. We can look at this, the laser sentry, if we want to do that. Although the laser sentry can use the ammo slots for batteries. Okay, so far so good. So now we just got to get all the different bays all labeled out translation-wise. So this will be GUI targeting window, or targeting, GUI dot permissions. I believe this was upgrades, and then this was settings. So I'm actually going to remove this real quick, and we're going to come down here, and that way we have everything kind of separated out, so it's a much really cleaner to understand. Okay, and this was targeting. There we go, got translation keys for all those, and we just have to implement them all, and if you go to different tabs, oh, it's going to just all be ammo bay until I hit reload. Okay, there we go. It's got all the different things now. And we just got to wait till we reload and all the translations will be fixed, and then we just got to implement more stuff here. So we'll have permissions page, you'll just have to put your global ID in here, and I'll have to make another GUI. The plan is for the permissions GUIs, it's going to take up the full screen, and then you'll be able to do all your stuff there. So we got upgrades. We got to get some slots for upgrade. We'll have to handle that. So far, so good. And I might put a console down here too, because there'll be some extra commands you can run that won't appear on the GUI, and I'll have a list of them. Okay, that looks good. I'll go ahead and reload this. And then next part is just implementing things. I'm being very generic with that word. Okay, so we want to do the targeting GUI is the next major feature that needs to be handled. But I'm going to probably do that in the next video since we're at an hour. We're just going to go quickly retest this stuff and then call it for this video. Green tea. A lot of stuff I got to implement on this though. So we got the targeting settings. They'll be pretty complicated, but simplistic at the same time. Not as glorious as I kind of want to make them. When I imagine things, I end up imagining them pretty far beyond my current capabilities. I don't mean skill-wise capabilities. I mean time and code. Because right now the code just can't support half the ideals I have. Not to say it won't ever be able to do that, because it can. It's just how much time I want to spend doing it. See, the original idea for the targeting screen was to do very similar to what I want to do with the permission screen. You have a full screen system, you'd open it up, you can change all your settings. I probably will implement a settings system in the permission system, so you'll be able to clone down your targeting settings to your turret. So you just go, okay, this is part of turret group 33, and it's meant to shoot at zombies only. And you just go check mark turret group 33, and you set up all your stuff. So I've got to actually work on the permission system, because the thing is, the permission system right now I think only does users, groups, and global access. And the thing I'm thinking of is multiple access groups. See, you have an access group which has groups inside of it, has users, and that'll do a whole bunch of stuff. But then we're talking about having kind of subgroups, and I'm going to have to write it all down. I'm going to have to plan it out before I fully implement it. So we're going to go with the basics. I'll just get the permission system implemented so you know who friend or foe is, and we'll deal with the settings later. Oh no! That was crashed. Conversion. Unknown format converter. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. I broke it into something. And when you break it into something like that, you just go to the documentation real quick. Because you know what's happened? I don't think I is a conversion type in Java. It is in C, and I've been programming in C a little too much lately. Okay, conversion types. Boolean. This is apparently general. This is like hash code. String, character. Integers are D. Octal integers. So we want a D is what we want. Really wish it wouldn't crash. I wish you'd just ignore it and we just find out that way. We'll launch again, and hopefully it'll work this time. This means people can mess up the translations and cause crashes. Why doesn't Java support the I character? There's scientific notation, there's floating points. So it's formatted using customized scientific notation, so it's G. I had to memorize these for an exam once. I hated it so much. Percent literal. And then line separator. Forgot you could do like really complicated date and time formats. Oh, there's so many cool things you can do with these. I'll have to look at that later. Because I need to go through and I need to basically start string formatting a little bit of everything so things look really, really nice when they're outputted. Especially when it comes to the localizations. They're the ones that need the string formatters more than anything. Because when you translate things to certain languages require things to be done in a certain way. For example, if you're reading Arabic, Arabic is right to left instead of left to right, so they may want to handle their numbers completely different. They may want to just put their numbers in Arabic directly too, which I don't think I can do right now. To be honest, I don't even know how well Minecraft handles Arabic, because my only experience with that is being told that there's all these translation problems with it and seeing it in video games. Like one of the zombie games I play, a lot of people are from Egypt. Sad thing is the Google Translator doesn't translate it very well. Still translates it better than Chinese. The Chinese doesn't translate at all. A lot of times when they type my name in Chinese, which is Dark Cow, it'll turn out to be like Purple Moo or something. I don't remember what it is. There we go. Everything's translating. Looks pretty good. We need the laser sentry again real quick, just so we can compare the battery slots. See, that'll work. I'm going to cut it down from battery bay to batteries. I might move these buttons to off to the side here or up on top. Up on top actually is not a horrible idea. Let's do that real quick. I like where they are at though, because they look so nice, but once you start cluttering the screen with text, it starts to look less nice. And putting a little power button up here would be, especially right above the tab bar. So how do we want to handle this? I think we just do this real quick. And of course we'll have to change it. So that'll take us to 5.5. So we want to do negative like 18. Okay, we're almost there, so we want to move it up then to like negative 5. That'll work, because then our power buttons are right here. And what we'll do is we'll put a backing behind here, so this won't look as weird. And we're going to slide all these down too while we're at it. So just drop these down by 5. Actually, let me look at this real quick. I know this is 9 tall. Yeah, so 5 will work. We just drop these all down by 5. This will be negative 10. Oh, that slid everything up. Supposed to be plus 10. Oh, and this is where this needs to be this way, and then minus 18, and minus 10, x, y. And then what you do is we come back down here and we set these back to their default values. That way we don't interfere with the programmable logic we've already done down here. Except we need to fix that, or that's going to error around it, which it already did. Okay. Okay, this needs to be plus 10. Okay, that's good. Now we need to drag this down. So this needs to be plus 10. Okay, plus 5 actually. Just be 5. Close. Just do 0. That'll probably get me dead on. Yep, pretty good. And of course we're just now going to put a backing behind here so it looks like it belongs. And this means if we do that, the on-off buttons need to be on all the screens. So we'll do this real quick. And set our system like this. You know what we'll actually do is we'll drag these down here, we'll put this down here, and we'll just, plus 0 on here, and then we need to do minus 10. I think it's wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. Okay. We need on the Y value to do the minus 10. And then on the X value, it needs to be plus 9. Or not. I think the X just needs to be where it's at. Yeah, there we go. So this will be on all the screens, so you go here and your power button is right up there. And that'll be out of the way because NEI goes over here. It's the reason why all these buttons are over here, so I don't have to deal with NEI and its stupid tab out thing that I don't care about. So we just want to do this real quick. So this will be menu tabs, power buttons, per tab buttons and components. Actually, we just do this as per tab components. Don't need to add the button part. Okay, so we're all set here. So now when you want to deal with the targeting settings. So targeting settings, we basically want to go, okay, here's what here's the name, and then we need check bark boxes of some kind. We may need to make some renders for the buttons that we're going to be doing. Maybe. I have an idea. It is a really, well, it's not actually a dumb idea. It's actually not bad. So what we do is we want to go add a button to our GUI. Actually, you know what? We're going to do this next video. I forgot. Next video.